Yo, what is up everybody, and welcome to the channel. Welcome to the first episode of my new series called BOP or Flop. Basically where I go through games that are new, old, games that are my favorites, and games that are not necessarily my favorite. And I let you know if it's a good game, if it's a bop, or if it's a flop. If you should, take your time in playing this game, or don't waste your time and just skip it. So for today's first episode, we're going to be looking at actually my all-time favorite video game of all time, like all time, Sonic Adventures, or Sonic Adventures Director's Cut. This is my favorite game of all time. How many times did I say that? Like 4 or 5? Basically, we're going to talk about this game because this game is controversial to begin with. A lot of people love this game and a lot of people hate this game. And it's kind of crazy because it's like there's no in between. So we'll kind of talk about the things that are really good about this game and things that aren't very good about this game. So to kind of get started though, we should probably talk about my history with this game. So first things first, this game came out 22 years ago. Okay, so actually before I was born. I ended up starting playing this game in about 2006 or 7. I was about 7 or 8 years old. It was my first exposure to the game. I ended up getting a GameCube specifically just to play this game. I traded in like everything I owned just to get a GameCube and a copy of this game. I didn't even have a memory card when I actually first got it, which is kind of crazy. I actually ended up getting a memory card from like my grandpa or something like that. So it's kind of crazy that I was playing the game and like I would either leave the GameCube on or I would just have to start all over for like a week until I got a memory card. That's how dedicated I was to this game. I've owned this game about 8 or 9 different times, a bunch of times on GameCube, and then once on Xbox, PS3, and twice on PC, because I lost my Steam account at one point, so I had to buy it again. The gameplay that you're actually seeing is the PC version, but I'm using the Better SADX mod, because it's, in my opinion, the best way to play the game is on PC with this mod, for a couple of different reasons. One, you can kind of use your own controller scheme that you like. You can play with pretty much any controller or keyboard if you wanted to. And you're getting the HD graphics that the re-release, I think in 2010, that gives you, except for instead of it being 4:3, you can get it in 16:9. There is some kind of graphical glitches with stretching it out like that, because obviously the game was never designed like that. But for the most part, it's pretty solid. Not very many issues come upon this, so it's my favorite way to play the game, and that's what gameplay you'll be seeing. So while yes, it's not a true Dreamcast gameplay, it is still the Sonic Adventures Director's Cut version of the game that came out in 2010, but with modifications on it so that you can kind of enjoy, so that I personally can enjoy it to my full extent, because like I said, I played this game for the better part of my life. So with that being said, I guess we should kind of dive into the stories before we actually start talking about the good and bad things, so at least you know what this game is about. This game is about Sonic the Hedgehog and his friends. They need to team up against Dr. Eggman or Robotnik, however you want to look at it in this game, to defeat Chaos, which is what Dr. Eggman has manifested this creature. Well, he didn't manifest, but he discovered this creature named Chaos, and he's trying to use it to destroy Station Square so he can build Robotnik Land on top, right? And so it's your job as Sonic and friends to stop Eggman, stop Chaos, stop Eggman from getting all the Chaos Emeralds and feeding them to Chaos so that he doesn't become Perfect Chaos, which actually ends up happening at the end of the game anyways, and then that's where you go Super Sonic and save the day, right? So you actually play as 6 different characters in this game. You play as Sonic, Tails, Knuckles, Amy, Big, in E102 Gamma. Did I cover all the bases? I think I did. So yeah, 6 different characters, 6 different play styles. 6 different play styles. We'll go with that. Sonic is literally exactly what you expect Sonic to be in a 3D environment, except for this is his first time doing it in 1998. This is Sonic's first time in 3D, at least in the traditional Sonic format, right? Because there was like Sonic R, technically Sonic 3D Blast, kind of, even though it was like I think it's called isometric. Anyways, other than that, this is kind of Sonic's first time in 3D, and in my personal opinion, this is one of the best parts of the game, is Sonic's campaign. It is awesome. You get the most stages. I think he has 10 stages. He has quite a few bosses, as well as a lot of character battles, which character battles actually kind of suck. That's kind of one of the bad parts of this game, as well as boss battles. But boss battles, we'll talk about those in a minute. So Sonic is like the highlight of this game. When people talk about Sonic Adventures, they're primarily talking about Sonic because it's like the golden standard for this game. It's one of the best parts of this game. He just feels right. The speed feels right. The levels are just awesomely structured. Sonic, if it was just Sonic, this game would easily be 10 out of 10 and nobody would have any issues with this game outside of it being like a little old and it's like kind of glitchy, right? Those are normal things. Like Mario 64 has those problems, but it's still praised to this day. If Sonic Adventures was the same way, if it was just Sonic, it would be just as a cult classic as Super Mario 64 is, in my opinion. So, with that being said, you have Sonic, then there's Tails. Tails plays a lot like Sonic, except for you can just fly over most of the levels, and while it's supposed to be a race against Sonic or in one stage Eggman, it's kind of a one-sided race if you know how to play as Tails. If you know how to fly as him, it's a one-sided race. Speaking of that, I'll kind of branch off real quick. If you'll notice, there's not very many cutscenes in my gameplay. It's just raw gameplay. The way how I play this game is I'm pretty much wired to try to play it as fast as I can. I guess I could have saved some cutscenes, but honestly, I just wanted to kind of just show you guys the gameplay because the story is so old. It's not really that important when you're trying to play a game like this. So you'll notice that all of my gameplay is like me playing like to somewhat the best of my abilities. I didn't go completely ham. I didn't like restart. I've had a bad run, right? I just played the game kind of casually how I normally do, you know, like the over 300 hours of Steam that I originally had. So you'll notice like when I play as Tails, I just fly over the whole level. Like it's like I'm not even going to try to show you the level. I'm just going to fly over it, right? So that's one thing with Tails. Knuckles is an interesting character because this is kind of where the game, if you play it like in order, this is where the game kind of starts to go down, right? Knuckles' whole thing is he's looking for the Master Emerald pieces because Chaos / Eggman broke the Master Emerald. So now he's trying to retrieve the Master Emerald pieces, and so you're on a treasure hunt. So while Knuckles is still fast and feels really good like Sonic, and he can glide, his gliding feels perfect, and his climbing is really solid, his punching is really solid, even though you don't really need to punch anything. Sometimes you do. Anyways, his gameplay feels solid, like the feel, but the actual mission is wonky. So it's fine, it's fun to do, but it's not necessarily a Sonic type gameplay, right? So for me personally, I enjoy Knuckles. It's fun, it's different, it's something that keeps your mind from going numb because you have 6 different characters to play, 6 different play styles. So Sonic and Tails are very similar. Knuckles is like, he's like slightly different. He still feels the same, but he's still like, his mission is different. So it's kind of, depending on how you like your Sonic games, me personally, I really enjoyed it. I would still consider Knuckles a great part of the game. So yeah, Knuckles is fun to play. You get to Amy, and that's where the game just tanks. This is where the game just starts to feel like I'm not playing a Sonic game anymore. And the reason why is because Amy, while is still kind of like Sonic, she's super slow, and she only has one method of attacking, which is the hammer, so you can't jump into enemies. So there right off the bat, the past 3 characters can just jump into enemies, and all of a sudden you're playing as a character that can't, right? So Amy's garbage. Amy's just straight garbage. She's the worst story in the game, hands down. I'd rather play Big than Amy. Like, we're just going to get that right off the bat. Big is better than Amy, hands down. I guess some of the alleviating factor of that is Amy only has 3 stages. She only has 3 stages and 1 boss. So it's not like garbage, like you're just going to die. Most of her story is cutscenes. For real, it's just literally just cutscenes. So then you move on to Big. Big is, if you know how to play Big and you know where to go, Big is not really that offensive. Like, I'm going to defend him in that sense. If you know what to do, it's not that offensive. But most of you guys who are probably watching this video have either, well, I don't want to say most of you guys haven't played this game, but if you haven't played this game, Big is going to suck. Big is going to be absolute garbage. You're going to hate Big, and I completely understand, and I will stand right next to you. But if you played this game for as many years as I have, he's not really that bad if you know where to go. That's the problem. You have to know, right? You have to know how to play these characters in order to get the most enjoyment. That's kind of like one of the main arguments for Sonic 06. I'm going to kind of branch off. People say, oh, Sonic 06 isn't that bad. Yeah, how many times have you played it? You've probably played it a crap ton, and you know how to like work around the bad controls and glitches, right? Of course you're going to somewhat enjoy Sonic 06, right? Because you know how to play the game, right? So it's kind of like that with Big. Big is garbage unless you know how to play him, unless you know the stages, right? I think the fastest run for Big is like 12 minutes, which is insane, right? Moving on, now you have E102 Gamma. E102 Gamma is not bad. He's still a fun character. His levels are structured like you have a time limit, and you chain kills or whatever, killing badniks to get more time. Even though it doesn't really matter, you can literally just spam the button and you're usually pretty good. There's not really much to talk about him. He's just like, he's a mech shooter. It's like a platformer / mech shooter. You go around and you shoot stuff and you get to the end. And like, I guess his goal ring is you kill other E100 models. So you kill E103, 4, 5, and then E101 is like your final boss. Well, he's technically like your first boss, but then he's also your final boss. It's kind of weird. So anyway, so those are all the characters in like their respective gameplay styles. A lot of the good of this game is that it feels good. Most characters feel good. I would say the only character that genuinely feels bad is Amy. Like, she just does not feel like a playable character at all. She's garbage. But everybody else feels good. The game, the platforming, you never feel like you're gonna overshoot or undershoot a jump because it just feels right. Right? So the bad about this game is just the other three characters, Amy, Big, and E102. Those characters are just not Sonic gameplay. It's just, it feels off. It doesn't feel like you're playing a Sonic game when you play those stories, right? So, but honestly, there's really not much wrong. Obviously, the voice acting is old. It was kind of bad when the game first came out. And of course, like the graphics, they haven't really aged well. The lip syncing is totally off. Those are kind of the negatives to this game. Everything else about this game is, honest, in my opinion, genuinely good. There's not really a whole lot wrong with this game. I have no issues with this game. Outside of the three characters, it really depends if you're willing to get past the other three characters and then play the three really good characters. It's a fantastic game, right? If you can just endure like a maximum of maybe 45 minutes to an hour of bad character gameplay, you'll actually really enjoy your time with Sonic Adventures. And of course, then there's the final story, which features Super Sonic. The Super Sonic boss battle is actually super fun. When you're first playing the game, it can be kind of challenging because you don't know the patterns, but once you get a handle of it, it's actually a lot of fun. It's kind of just like you take Sonic, you collect rings, and run in a straight line straight into chaos. It's not like complicated or anything. It's actually a really super simple final boss, but it's super fun, and you get hyped up with the first part, the first phase. You have the Open Your Heart main theme just blasting, Crush 40, and you're just super hype, all this stuff. Also didn't even mention the music. Crush 40 killed it on this game. Absolutely killed it with the soundtrack. Some of the best Sonic music that I've personally ever heard. As well as some of the other bands that conducted like the character themes. Awesome job. I really enjoy Sonic Adventure soundtrack. It's probably one of my favorites outside of probably like Sonic CD, maybe the Japanese soundtrack, or Sonic Mania has a really good soundtrack too. But definitely Sonic Adventures is way up there in terms of some of my favorite video game soundtracks. So what else? I think that's it, to be honest. I think I covered most of the bases. Yeah, Sonic Adventures is personally worth picking up even to this day. Even with all the negative feedback that a lot of people tend to give it, like IGN and GameSpot and some other influencers, they tried to give this game a negative reputation, but if you actually play it, I guarantee you'll have a really good time with Sonic, Tails, and Knuckles at a minimum. And then the other 45 minutes to an hour of characters, which is Amy, Big, and E102, they're such a small part of the game because Sonic alone takes up somewhere between 45 minutes to an hour, hour and a half, right, depending on how well you play. Tails is probably 30 minutes to 45 minutes, and Knuckles is about an hour, depending on, again, how well you play, right? For me, I can beat Sonic in 30 minutes, 45 minutes. Tails is 10, 15, and Knuckles is about 15, 20, right? Because I've been playing the game forever. But if you can get through those characters, this game has a lot to offer and a lot of replay value in terms of getting better at the stages and getting better times or just discovering new things, right? So outside of that, guys, I really don't have much else to talk about Sonic Adventures. This is one of my favorite games of all time, and I will always recommend that you at least try Sonic out. And if you like Sonic, then do Tails and Knuckles at a minimum, right? You don't have to beat the game. Just play those 3 stories, and I guarantee you'll have a great time. And of course, like I said, if you can get through the extra hour or so of bad characters, you have a great final boss and a great soundtrack to enjoy. And of course, a somewhat decent story. I know I didn't really touch on the story too much. Really not much to talk about. It's been around forever. It's pretty much a good versus evil story, right? So with all that being said, I really hope you guys have a wonderful day. I'm going to rate Sonic Adventures a complete and absolute bop. This is a 100% bop. I highly recommend you guys pick this game up. You can find it on Steam. It usually runs for like, I think it's like $10 on Steam or PS3 or Xbox 360. And it's also, I believe it's backwards compatible for Xbox One. You can also play it on PS Now. There's just a ton of ways that you can play this game. And I highly, highly, highly recommend you guys pick this up and at least give it a shot. So with that being said, guys, I will hope you guys have a wonderful day, and I'll see you guys on the next Bop or Flop. See you later.